So we are at the Republic of Karting Track Fest. I'm Pratyush, I run Mad Over Driving, and we have the Ravivar Racing Club. Why don't you guys introduce yourself? It's a great pleasure to actually meet like-minded people.
Hi, I'm Yakata, and I'm the co-founder of Ravivar Racing Club.
Hi, I'm Harsh. I'm the co-founder of Ravivar Racing Club.
I have been watching the sport of motorsports for the last couple of years. We recently thought that we wanted to play a part, a much larger part within the sport, by actually getting people and the community to come together.
We wanted to start a karting community mainly to develop the culture around racing in general, in starting from Mumbai, hopefully all over India.
Great, congratulations because you have been able to build a community. I somehow got the followers or the videos, but all the community that I have been able to build is, "ये तू लैंडो को hate क्यों करता है?" I don't hate Lando, but as an avid follower of Formula One, I've been watching since 06, 07. I think my first championship that I saw a guy win was Raikkonen in 07, first time into Ferrari, but he kills it. Throughout history, when you look at these drivers, right, let's even take McLaren for example, when they built such a rocket ship car last time, was Senna and Prost. But even they put up a fight, and even if they had team orders or so, look at the Monaco lap that Senna had, or stuff like this. It shows moments of brilliance, moment of magic. Max at Brazil, Max at, I think, name any other track these days, Max is putting up magic. Lewis in Silverstone, the way he just comes alive. Seb Vettel in Suzuka 2019. Charles, the way he's been driving. Each driver has shown a moment of brilliance in some way or the other. Lando, I feel, why I'm not able to back him personally, not that I think he's definitely done something right. Because you need to make the least mistakes to be the champion in a season like that, and he did that. He peaked when it mattered, so all congratulations to him. I don't hate on him. But I can't get behind him that he's a generational talent because I've not seen that kind of a brilliance coming from him. That is my take. Why do you think he is a generational talent then?
You got a fun panel here with like one Lando not supporter and one Lando supporter. But I think you said it. You said it very carefully, which I appreciate. Where you're not discontinuing the fact that he has some sort of talent. But I think F1 is a team sport at the end of the day, right? McLaren consistently has been for the last 2 years putting up constructors champions. Even if they've been winning, not winning, the team together has been working towards this. Lando has been in the team right from the start. He's been there as the guy who used to come like an intern giving them water to now, being the driver and on the forefront. So as a team, I think collectively what they sort of put out was like a championship year for him, and he delivered to it. I don't say he's a generational talent, and I think Lando, the way he speaks, also knows for a fact that he wanted to do it once, he's done it, he's happy, this is all he wanted. Like that today, Lando is a world champion. You can't say yes or no about it because he's managed to prove it. Am I saying he'll become an 8-time world champion? Maybe not. So I think the hate towards him is weird because it's like, hey, he was an ordinary child. He was never a legend. How did he suddenly blow up? So everybody hates last year now, suddenly. And most of these people are people who have been watching the sport for years, who wanted like legendary players to come and win because they've seen people go like back to back championships, and that's a champion. I think you can be like a one-time wonder and dip. Like, why not? Like, anyone would want that.
Was one, right?
Exactly. And look at him now. He can shove that into everyone's face, and he does that. They all do that. They all do that very loudly and clearly.
We started the conversation.
He should have been more.
Yeah, of
he
course.
should have had more. But yeah, Lando, generational talent. I don't think those two phrases go, like name and phrase, go together in a sentence. And I think he knows that also, as you rightly said. Obviously, growing up, getting into F1 requires serious talent, which he definitely has as compared to most of the rest of the world's population. I'm glad he got his time in the sun because he has put in years of efforts behind McLaren. It's not just the efforts that you see on track, but it's also like getting back with the engineers, like giving them feedback. It's a process, obviously, because again, it's a team sport. So he has put that effort into McLaren. He got something out of it. Was it the car? Maybe. Were there better drivers at that point in F1? Maybe. But again,
Definitely, not maybe.
but his name is on the record books now. There's no two ways around.
So that is for sure. And that also brings me to look at the Indian drivers. We, of course, have a big PR plunge of, like exodus of content coming in with Avid Lindblad. But before that, let's not forget to tip the hat to, let's say, Jehan Daruwala, Kush Maini, before them Narayan Karthikeyan, and even Karun Chandok. These guys did bring Indian motorsport to the forefront. And again a controversial name, but I think this man did do his part in putting India on the world map is Vijay Mallya, right? But why do you think it is still taking so much longer? Like I know you have done competitive driving, I have done competitive driving, and we still like we both personally know people who have done so much more in that. But still, somehow when we go to the world stage, I personally have no shame admitting, like in my friends also, like at my peak, I used to be scarily quick. But when I used to go in the championship, I had my days when it is wet or so coming from Mumbai as a driver who is used to wet weather, I was good. But on perfect conditions on a sunny afternoon, I know there's I don't want to name him, but a white kid who's just gonna blaze the track, and I'm gonna be made to look like a fool. What do you think needs to change in our ecosystem or in general, where motorsport becomes an everyday conversation rather than just, something that we argue about, like Max and Lando fight like we did last year?
I think a number of people would start appreciating the sport if they started actively watching the sport outside of just Formula One. Like, if you start watching other sort of racing leagues that happen, you understand that there's different drivers also. When support to these different drivers increases, then Indians will want to start pushing for seats, because just now what happens is, as a child, I see 20 seats because I know one sort of racing. But if I knew like multiple different sides, you realize the number of seats that start increasing, and then you don't feel like, hey, maybe I'm falling back. You feel like, oh, maybe the probability is higher, and then you start pushing your Indian racers. The thing with F1 also, and the reason why a lot of these drivers can't make it there is because they need for that kind of support. Like for example, an Italian driver coming up there is super exciting. Everyone's like, oh my god, imagine like if Kimi goes to Ferrari, it blows up. Indians are excited about an Italian driver going to an Italian team. So if that same kind of national recognition starts coming in and people start wanting for that, I feel like teams will want to open seats to an Indian driver. Teams will want an Indian driver only because it pulls in money, it pulls in viewership, it pulls in a lot of other things. So once Indians also want to push for the Indian driver, then I think the Indian driver can do something. But if these guys are even good at it and they don't get a chance purely because people don't want them, we're falling short somewhere.
I think an Indian driver, the two main limitations that anyone starting out racing in India would face is one, money, two, competition. Because you're only as good as the people you're competing with. So if I'm competing with someone who's setting 38s on a particular lap, and I'm setting 36s even, but someone from outside the world who has far more experience than me, far more years of experience, far better equipment, far better teammates, opponents, he's gonna go like seconds beyond me. He's gonna go like a 30, 33, 32. He'll drop down massively, and I'll be surprised. Ki, like in my category, in my home country, I was like literally the best. How do I? Again, it's because of the number of people doing it here is quite low. So the competition is low. The number of people here in general high, but number of people who are able to have access to all of this is quite low, because most of the tracks are in metropolitan cities. Smaller cities have tracks, but again, it becomes like a novelty where specific cities have them because the culture is developed there. Eventually, I feel like, as you rightly said, names like Jehan, Kush, Arjun, Narayan Karthikeyan, Karan Chandok, all of these guys have paved their way out of here. They had to relocate to also like Advait Devdar, other disciplines. Um, they have paved their way out of here, and they've made a name for themselves to a great extent, like up to like F2 and even F1 for Karthikeyan and this one Karan. Once they come back, once they have more of an insight about how the outside world of racing is working, those insights can be put to use here. Take money from where it exists, from enthusiasm at the top, use it to fuel something like this, is where I think it'll start building up. That's the top of the pyramid where it's going to start building up from. At the bottom, something like a daily, like a karting community, or like a like regular entry level championships that tracks might host. All of those things start helping out there, and that's what builds the culture on a low level. So if both of these places are pushing equally, I think we can meet in the middle.
Also a plug-in, a community is right here. Reach out to them. Like I think another thing, of course, we do our part as people who are into the sport and people who are into the whole idea of motorsports being big. But one major thing, like we have Polo Cup that has been going on for so long, but even Polo as a car has been discontinued. But I can speak about this because I was in Canada and look at they have a Sentra Cup. So Nissan's entry level car, the one that you can get for so much, like it is so cheap to get into it, right? A Nissan Sentra Cup entry racer is $40,000. If I convert that, it's 25 lakhs. Right now, we get a Virtus GT for that. Look at the, like, when you talk about pay parity or like the parity, the money you invest and the returns you get. A Sentra Cup winner gets a chance to race for the Honda Civic Cup. Like, I know all of this because there was this one event. Again, I was lucky because I didn't know that I had access to this. I thought all these racing events are very expensive to go to, right? And I was working on my own, doing Uber. I have worked extra jobs to sponsor my own racing. But as a member of the racing association, because I have a racing license, which is separate. So guys, don't race on road. That's irresponsible. That's stupid. None of us do that. You get a racing license and all of that. But when you do that, you get access to attend any racing event that you're a part of. So track was a part of the Toronto Indy race. I was able to like stand this close to Romain Grosjean and see those McLaren cars and all of that. Like, why are we not talking about those poses? There's so many other things from Formula One when we look at this. And like the Honda Civic Cup or the Hyundai Cup. Hyundai has a cup over there. Why can't they start something here? Like, of course, they need people like us. If we end up buying the Cretas and the, let's say, the Kylax, again, no sponsors here. But when we buy those SUVs, we are using them. But if we end up, let's say, going towards like the Hyundai N lines or and like the i20 N lines, not the Creta N lines or the Virtus GTs and stuff, that is when we actually bring more people who have those cars, know how to drive those cars the way they are meant to be driven, and at the end, eventually make a cup or like a feeder series out of it. Where do you think this is something that we can take as a community who is trying to get this going in India?
That's honestly a good idea. Like I'm going a step further, like further below, where we could like literally pick up scrap cars, fix them to. You know how the 24 hours of lemons, right? Not lemon. Lemons, yeah.
Lemons, yeah.
Yeah, so something like that, where you take shit boxes, make them workable, and race. So unsafe, expensive,
But you do it on a closed track.
and do it on a close side. Yeah, you put in proper safety regulations, you do all of it, and then you maybe try doing that. Not a bad idea, and that's something I feel like if you market it properly, people would be willing to watch. Like a Zen Cup or like a 800 Cup.
That's what they call the American dream, right? The stock car racing.
Yeah, like a three-wheeler race, like doing like an auto race.
It does happen, yeah.
The
Yeah,
Tuk-tuk
yeah,
race is a big
exactly.
thing in Thailand.
So I feel like if you start, I think it kind of makes sense because Indians do rely on entertainment per se, and that's what they also kind of made out of cricket, right? There's an entertainment value to it, which is why people get excited to watch. So if you do build racing out of entertainment purely, and then slowly move them into different disciplines, and the viewership increases, the want will increase. When the want increases, everyone wants to be a driver because that becomes cool again, and then that increases your competition. So maybe we should try this format out by like purely just enthusiasts coming together and kind of running like the shitbox race, getting viewership out of it, and then once you have massive numbers to prove to brands, pump in a good race and get your like good racers to start running on autos, running on various other kind of vehicles, and see where that goes.
So I think there's a midway that needs to be achieved. Any brand that we reach out to individually, again, the two of us coming from advertising background, we may have a little say, but again, they seldom listen to this because at the end of the day, it's a numbers game for them. But they don't realize just a little bit of pain in the beginning. If numbers is the name of the game for them, motorsport has untapped potential. Like if they truly see the kind of money, if Max and Lewis are able to pull this kind of money, and if Virat Kohli was able to do that in a parallel universe for cricket, imagine if we are able to take enough time. Like cricket also wasn't overnight, right? But if you're able to build that kind of an ecosystem for India, like we can do our part in terms of getting people excited, getting people to the track, getting people interested in even like the base level go karting. But like the manufacturers or people who make racing accessible will also have to meet us somewhere in the middle to make it not so obnoxiously expensive that this becomes crazy. And in terms of sponsorship, I just managed to get a couple in my whole time. I don't know what was your scene with sponsorship, but what is your take on sponsorships? How do you see younger drivers? Like, we know we can drive, but we won't be competing seriously anytime soon. Like, I don't know about you, but age has definitely passed me. So I'll do whatever I can for the next generation of drivers who come in. How can they reach out to sponsors? What is it that they can do to, get maximum out of it? Because when they ask us for sponsorships, we are ourselves trying to make something out of this. So we can't sponsor them, and we are not the right sponsors for them. They'll need other people. So what do you think is the best way to go about that?
I think this is where people within the brand facing space, like someone like us, who have worked within the advertising and marketing space and know where the funds lie, can sort of help direct them. Because I think kids jumping into this hear the word sponsor and assume that anyone with money is ready to give them money to build their career, but they don't realize that sponsorship comes with an idea of also giving back to these people in some way, shape, or form. So I feel like that educational gap has switched, and the problem also is that kids these days are growing up on the internet and on YouTube, where PR packages they assume are just sent to people. They assume ki this TV show is sponsored by blah blah. What does that even mean? Isne mujhe paise diya and I'm doing my fun stuff. They don't realize it's a give and take situation. So I feel like there has to come a point where people from our end, people from brand facing sides, either we go to tracks, we see talent like how you used to back in the day, grab this talent and go like, we will sponsor your career and we'll make a story out of it. But then you're like, you know how Red Bull sponsors athletes, right? Get other brands to sponsor athletes, get a Sting to sponsor an athlete, build those kind of careers where these brands also go on track and pick up one talent and go like, hey, I see potential in you and I will sponsor your career. That child tomorrow can give their entire brand story and their leverage to you and your brand. Because just saying sponsorship without knowing what it really means isn't helping, but no one's educating them either. So there's like a give and take problem. So I think there's somewhere needs to be this educational system where people understand why a brand would sponsor them, and this is for any athlete whatsoever. It's just that motorsports needs more money. That's the only thing.
In terms of that, like I definitely also the mindset, like parents, if you guys are watching this, or kids, please make your parents watch this. The major mindset difference. I just saw a parent while we were while you guys were hosting the podcast, and I was looking at a parent who were complaining about the fact that this is going to take too long. And even otherwise, the last time I was here, I saw a parent saying, okay, this is your reward because you were studying for the last 6 hours for your stuff. If we start treating this as a reward, it's no better than a toy. And this is not a toy. And out there, you have parents, like we used to get scolded for getting less marks in mathematics. They get scolded for getting less lap times. Like a kid, his dad went hell on him simply because he was not able to keep up with me. And that's a 3 or 4 year old kid. He's not supposed to keep up with me at 25. How do you think we can get parents more aware, or like how do you think we get them into this?
That's a good question because at the end of the day, no matter how much you want to cut, unless you're beyond like a money making age, you're not going to be able to pay for it.
I mean, you and I did it by our own money, right? So
Well, yeah, we did, but that also took us so far.
yeah.
This is, for the most part, in a lot of places across India, treated like an arcade thingy. Like bumper carts and go karts is nearly synonymous in people's minds. Uh,
It's not, by the way.
It's not. uh, it is nearly synonymous in people's minds, and that leads to confusions. Plus, people don't take it seriously. Like even when I was starting out my go karting journey and like learning it, I got an infinite amount of taunts from everyone across the board. कि like go karting सीखना है क्यों सीखने जैसा क्या है तुम वीडियो गेम सीखते हो क्या? But yeah, that's where the mindset is at. Ki it's like it's fun, it's entertainment and not a sport. Once that starts shifting, once that starts developing in a way where people start looking like people start finding merit in it, because people see a cricket, like you become a cricketer and make a lot of money, play football, become a footballer, make a lot of money, go kart, come back home and study. Doesn't work like that. So the mindset shift it'll take time.
Yeah.
But again, I think it's the responsibility of us as people who create content and communities to educate not just kids, not just say like adults, but everyone across the board to understand the severity or like the value that this holds.
Makes sense. A funny question that it's not even a question, it's an anecdote that a friend of mine had said a very funny thing. I would like to get your take on it. He said that in a country like India where we have so many drivers, he says it's impossible that you handpick a few out of Uber and take a training day with them and they won't be fast. Do you agree with this, or do you think this is absolutely bonkers? Also, Uber, please reach out. We can actually make this happen.
It's so funny. It's not only Uber, your literal auto walas, your truck drivers, they figured it out. That auto sharing cab wala at that train station knows कि मैं अगर इतने टाइम में यहाँ से यहाँ जाऊँ और इतनी जल्दी वापस आ जाओ, इतने एक्स्ट्रा लैप्स हो सकते हैं, which means इतने एक्स्ट्रा कस्टमर्स हो सकते हैं, which means इतना एक्स्ट्रा रेवेन्यू हो सकता है. Who teaches them all this? It's hands-on knowledge, right? So it does make a lot of sense.
It's race awareness.
You do it
Hands-on
multiple
race
times. Yeah, you do it multiple times. You do the same route 100 times. You understand the fastest route possible. You know exactly what timing to crack. You know how much weight to put in. You're good to go. That's exactly how these kids learn. So I think you should get them started instead of go-karts on autos. I think that's how we're talking.
That's interesting. We can start like a Ravivar Racing Club auto wing for sure.
Manual wing it.
Manual wing and auto wing. At my native place, we like sometimes we like drive over it. It's like 400 kilometers from here. We sometimes drive over it, but the times that we don't feel like it, the like vacations we take there, we don't feel like it, we'll hire a car over there. Now these guys who have grown up driving in the streets, like those narrow roads, the middle of the jungle with no street lamps, just the headlamps at night. These guys are so well versed with the whole say lay of the land there. At one point we had to travel, say like give and take 15 kilometers ish in the middle of the night. We had hired this guy and we had to reach home soon, and we tell him ki like thoda jaldi lena, and thoda jaldi lena, he in his mind he translated to I need to get there before like one of them dies. He thought some insane price on the line. I don't know what he. This man starts belting it at like a 100, 110, 120, the middle of the jungle. I can't see the car coming up front. If the car doesn't have headlights that's coming samne se, we're done for. And the guy starts the car. He takes the seat belt, clicks it in, and he removes the strap from the front. And all of a sudden, like at this point, like okay, there's last night in the world. Better enjoy it. But this man, I have to give it up to his skill. This man was, again, don't do this or don't learn this way, but just the sheer skill or like the natural talent he possessed, he was hopping the car over like the jumps, and like he's not a single second he dropped the speed. God knows how long I made it in, because at some point I was like, yeah, I'm gonna die, so I'll close my eyes and sleep. We made it probably in record time, and he was unfazed. Unfazed. Point of it being there's immense talent in like nooks and crannies all across India. It's going to be difficult to fish them out, but there's no lack of talent. There's hundreds and hundreds of people that could probably, with the right like opportunities, easily make it into F1. But
The money.
the money, the competition.
At the end of the day, it is hard work, right? The reason why even you were able to do a lot of the races because you wanted to and you put that kind of effort in to do multiple jobs to kind of make it. And anyone with no means, if today they even want to get a taste of what racing is, will have to put in everything they have and give it a shot. Like tomorrow, if someone's really good at something, but they don't sort of have it in them to do the hard work, I'm sorry, like great talent is wasted without hard work. So you can be born a prodigy, but if you're not ready to put in the number of hours, you're not ready to put in the thing, someone who's going to work far harder is going to make it. So
That was amazing. So thank you so much. I definitely want to catch you guys at Ravivar Racing Club next time. Any questions or anything you have for me? Because there's so much that I learned. Like I know I've been trying to build something, but I've only built an online sphere, whereas you actually built it ground up, and I've done it that way. So any tips or any questions if you have for me, please let me know.
okay, so with someone who's sort of put in the number of hours and the number of hard work that you have, you do possess some sort of experience in terms of, hey, I could do this myself with zero backing, and that takes, for lack of a better word, balls to do. So
Courage would be.
For kids wala
no, but that does take some amount of courage, like you said, to do. And I think what I would just leave you with, while it is great to sort of, come up and share stories of the sport or like of F1, I think as someone who's sort of done it themselves, it would be lovely to see your story of how you sort of made it even halfway there. While you did step out and do it for kids in India, how could they? Because what happens is, even if you're someone who's two steps ahead of someone, you're already far ahead of them. It would be lovely for us to sort of see you come in and tell kids, one, because you're from an advertising background, one, how to get brands on board. Maybe help them understand in different ways where you can sort of put your experience while you can share what's happening with the world in the F1 space. I think you've got some great experience yourself that people would love to hear from.
No worries, man. Thanks. I mean, I'm a storyteller. Let me come and tell it with Ravivar Racing Club the next time you guys are out. All right.
Happy for you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this.